It's about to be a new year and it's time to grow your Airbnb. Let's level up. Here are 5 steps to help you. But first, my name is Amanda. I'm here to help you simplify your Airbnb. I manage multiple Airbnbs and let's get started. The first thing that we're going to talk about is automation. So when you have multiple Airbnbs, or even if you have one, it's always great to start automating certain things so that you won't be doing a lot of busy work. So for example, you need to make sure you have like automated messaging. I actually use Hospitable to help me manage my cleaners. So for example, whenever there's a booking, an automated email and text goes to my cleaner to let them know, hey, we have someone checking out this certain date. Are you able to clean during checkout? So yeah, Hospitable is like really good to use. If you're interested in using Hospitable, I have the link in my description. So yes, automation is like very important and it prevents you from having any type of human error. Like for example, I always set my so how I automate my messages is like as soon as a guest books, they get an automated booking message, and then they would get a what did they get? And then they get like, okay, so the booking confirmation, then they get the check-in instructions, then they get like the house manual. I'm gonna put up here my guest flow process where like it's a flow to my messages, my automated messages. So I'm gonna put that in the screen so that way you all can see it and kind of like copy how I automate my messages. Also, when I automate messages, I am able to automate my reviews as far as my guests. Now, sometimes I use it and then sometimes I don't. So if I have a guest that wasn't really, good or just wasn't a good stay, then I won't make sure that that's automated as far as the review. But for the most part, I kind of like to like personalize my messages, but I do have the ability. So every now and then I do it. But for the most part, like when it's time to automate the guest check-in stuff, the house manual, all those things, like everything is automated. I don't have to worry about that. Even the codes, even when it comes to the codes. So when it comes to the smart locks, I connect it to Hospitable. So Hospital has like a list of smart locks that they integrate with. And basically I connect the lock to Hospitable, and then I'm able to manage multiple locks on that platform. And because I manage multiple Airbnbs, I'm able to connect everything into one. Also, with my property management system, it prevents me from overbooking. So if I have a booking on VRBO, it'll block off that date for Airbnb, so no one can block that date on Airbnb. So it's really helpful when I have a property management system and some type of automation in process as well. Now let me also about automation, I also have like with my cleaning checklist, as far as my automation is concerned, with my cleaning checklist, it's a very detailed checklist. And what I do is when I send an automated message to my cleaners, I insert that checklist as a Google form for them to automatically like check off on their list, and then they're able to submit the form. So and I actually have a cleaning checklist. If you're interested, it's in my all-in-one host bundle. Check the link in the description. But yes, automation is like really good for me because it just helps me a lot, especially when I'm managing multiple rentals. I don't have to automatically like send things. So when I first started out at Airbnb, I was managing just my room. I started out by managing my room and renting it out. And it was easy to do manually, of course. Yeah, it was easy to do because I only had one room. I only had one particular listing to deal with. So everything was manually. But when I started scaling and people wanted me to actually manage their properties, I was like, oh no, I need some type of automation, because if I want to be able to scale and grow, I have to make sure that I have automation, systems and processes in place. That is the key, systems and processes in place. If you want to take your Airbnb company to the next level, that's very important. Number 2 is smart pricing. And when I talk about smart pricing, I'm not talking about the smart pricing on Airbnb. I'm talking about a price optimization system that has dynamic pricing. So for example, I use Price Labs. And with Price Labs is a software that actually knows what the market is. So they base their prices based on what the market is. They base their prices based on seasonality, based on if there is an actual event going on. So, for example, if there is a concert that's going on in a couple of months, let's say in about 3 to 4 weeks, Price Labs is going to make sure that the prices during that weekend is priced to optimize your listing. Also, getting a price optimization software helps you understand who your competitors are and what they're doing and what their pricing is. So let me tell you something. So one of my clients, she has a beautiful Airbnb, right? And we're in slow season. We are in slow season. So like slow season is kicking our butts right now, right? So I was like, all right. I told me and my assistant, we're gonna go into Price Labs and we're gonna actually see who our competitors are, what they're doing, and how much they are actually charging. So when we looked, we saw that our prices were just a little too high for slow season. So what did? I dropped it, but I dropped it just a little bit lower than my actual competitor, and we got bookings. So I was like, okay, great. If I didn't have that price optimization system, I wouldn't have known, what to price my listing at, or at least close to my competitors. And also, like with all of the data, I'm able to prepare for slow season. So like with the price optimization, what I have Price Labs, I'm able to see, okay, I have slow season coming up in a couple of months. Let me go ahead and prepare myself. Let me start posting on social media. Let me start adjusting my prices. Let me start promoting for those couple of months to be prepared. So that's very important. If you want to get into Price Labs, I'll have the link down below in the description. Very, very, very important. Also, you have this setting called like orphan nights or orphan gaps, where, for example, if you have a listing and your minimum is 3 days, however, if you have bookings in between days, like let's say you're booked from November 11th through November 15th, but you have a 2-day gap, and then you have another booking November 17th through the 20th, that 2 days is called an orphan gap, where you can't book because of based on your minimum stay. So what you can do is you can apply that setting and say, hey, if I have a gap in between bookings and it's 2-day minimum, go ahead and try to book that, Price Labs. Go ahead and try to book that. And so when you use a price optimization system, you're taking advantage of the pricing, the market. You're just taking advantage of a lot of things, or a lot of factors that could get you ahead of the game. A lot of people don't have access to knowing what the market is. And that's why you need a system that's going to make sure that when you set the settings and you automate things, you can set it. I wouldn't say set it and forget it, but you can check like your pricing, every couple of days or once a week, just to make sure that your pricing is competitive. Number 3 is you want to make sure that you're building a strong and reliable team. So that means finding a strong and reliable cleaners. The cleaners are our eyes. They are our eyes because we're not always at the property. Hosts, we are not always at the property. So we have to make sure that our cleaners are A1. And if you're having trouble finding cleaners or reliable handymen, I do have in my all-in-one host bundle where I give you the process that I use to find reliable handymen and cleaners, and I even walk you through the process of interviewing. This is the same exact steps that I use for my company, and ever since I've used that, we have a solid team now. Now, before, when I didn't have that process in place, it wasn't working too good, but now that I do, I feel more confident and definitely want to share it with you. So if you're interested, the link will be in the description below. So, like I was saying, it's extremely important to find a really good cleaner because they're our eyes. They're able to tell us if there's any damages. They're able to tell us if there's any items missing in the property. So that's really, really golden. And make sure that when you're trying to look for these cleaners and these handymen, that they meet the standards of your property. Okay, so you ask specific intentional questions. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly where to find these, how I find them. I'm going to tell you how I find them. So basically, what I usually do is I go on Facebook groups. Okay, so let's say, well, I go on Facebook groups and on my Facebook, my personal Facebook. So what I usually do is I say, hey, I am looking for a cleaner who specializes in Airbnb in state, in whatever city state, Miami, Florida, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, whatever city. Once I do that, then I'll get, of course, recommendations. Now, you can actually list these in Facebook groups, like cleaner Facebook groups, or you can actually list these on your personal Facebook. It just all depends, okay? So if you have an Airbnb that is outside of the states, then you would most likely want to post in a Facebook group rather than on your personal Facebook, because you're going to have people in that area commenting back. But that's how you would do it. Once you have that and you post, then people are going to be contacting you or whatnot. After that, you're going to ask them certain questions like, hey, do you have experience in Airbnb cleaning? Because remember, it is a difference between residential cleaning and Airbnb cleaners. Like, I've seen a difference, and I feel personally that Airbnb cleaners have a sense of eye. And also, like, when you're for an Airbnb cleaner, like, there's a sense of, urgency, like a sense of, oh, I got to get this done. This is time sensitive. And so they keep that in mind while they're cleaning. And for Airbnb cleaner, they also actually pay attention. I'm not saying residential cleaners don't pay attention to close to detail, but Airbnb cleaners, they really have to pay attention to detail. They have to do staging. Like, there's a big difference. So just be mindful. And after that, you ask them certain questions and try to set up an interview, and then you ask them really specific questions to make sure that they're meeting your goal for your property. And then after that, you bring them in. Make sure that once you choose one, you also interview about 5 people, so that way you have 2 backup cleaners or 2 backup handymen. So I always recommend having 2 backups in the event that one cleaner cannot clean. Hope that helps. Now, I got my paper with me, y'all, because I don't want to forget any notes. So some other places that you all actually can check for, and I just Googled some just in case Facebook groups aren't working for you. Luckily, Facebook groups have been working for me, and also like sometimes my clients might have their own cleaners, so I'll use them. But Facebook groups and also posting on my personal Facebook has been working. But here's a list of actual places or other places that you can find cleaners and handymen. So you have Thumbtack, TaskRabbit, Upwork, or actually you can just Google it. And also softwares that help you like manage these tasks. You can use Turnover BNB, and you also can use Breezeway. Number 4 is to enhance your guest experience. Sometimes I feel like this goes like in the ear and out the ear of some hosts. Like, they just forget that they have a guest and they have to make sure everything is seamless for the guest. And this is very important. So what I would highly suggest is just to make sure that when it's time to, let me rewind. First of all, the guest experience should be like the number 1 top thing on your mind, okay? So some things that I would suggest is get a welcome basket. Start off with a welcome basket. And if that's not in your budget, that's perfectly fine. But what can be in your budget, because it's $0, is start by creating, well, I guess it won't be $0 because you got to print it out. But if you go on Canva and you create a small little card, like a poem that says something like welcome, da da da, and then have a QR code so they can scan. When they scan this QR code, they can scan to sign up to your guest loyalty program. So this is how you're going to create your guest loyalty program, because this is what I'm doing. So I'm creating a guest loyalty program, which means that my guests will be the first to know if there's any new rentals. They'll be aware of any discounts or perks that I have with the Airbnbs that I manage, right? And so what I have done was I have like a welcome card and a QR code, a QR code on the welcome card, right? After that, they scan the card. When they scan the card or the QR code, when they scan it, it basically says, hey, welcome to the Vacation Loyalty Program where you will be receiving perks and discounts, da da da. I just need your name and your email. And they give it to me. Now, I create all of this on Canva as far as the card, the QR code, and I use ConvertKit as my landing page. So once they scan the QR code, it's a landing page that pops up, and that is basically their information. I collect their information, their email. Now, you can create a little card, or you can create it have like a frame around the house and have them scan it. That's something perfect to do. Guests would love that. I have guests signing up for it, and I was like so excited because it actually works. So that works. But also, one thing that is so great to have is a house manual. I get so many guests in the past. They don't ask me anymore, but they would ask me, do you have any recommendations? What's there to do around here? Like, what's the nearest store? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh no, like I got to create something so that way that could also be automated. So I actually, like, as soon as the guest signs up, and then maybe as soon as the guest books, then I would have like a couple days before they come in, or maybe like 24 hours before they check in, I provide them with a guest house manual, and inside there are recommendations, things about the house, things to do around the town or city, things for the little ones. So it's really great recommendations to have. I actually have a guest manual template inside my all-in-one host bundle as well, if you're interested. And then number 5 is knowing when to delegate. So we as hosts want to sometimes, and I have struggled with this, where I want to take control of everything and I don't want to let go of anything. And after a while, as my business was scaling, I could not continue to hold on to everything, and so I had to start outsourcing. So I hired me an admin assistant, and I started training him, and now he's assisting with me co-hosting. So it's very important to know when it's time to delegate, especially if you want to scale your business, and understand that you're not giving up your control. You're not giving up all of your control. You're just having someone support you in some things that you have trouble with now, because you don't want to be spread so thin. And remember, we're trying to simplify your business, not make anything more difficult. And you have to remember, you should not be all tied up managing your business 24/7. You should be managing your business less than about 5 hours a week, just making sure that everything is good, and then just let everybody else delegate everything so you can reduce burnout. Stress is very important. So get yourself a co-host or like a virtual assistant or someone to help alleviate those busy tasks. And I struggled with that for a long time. Once I let that go, and I found my my VA, and everything made much more sense to kind of like, okay, I can breathe now, So just think of it as that. They're not, when you have a co-host or when you have someone assisting you, they're not taking all of your power and your control. They're assisting you to your goal. Hope that helps. I hope that this has helped you all and you have learned how to level up your Airbnb. Don't forget that if you're interested in the all-in-one host bundle, the link will be down below in the description box. Have a wonderful day and happy hosting.